Hello there, everybody, and welcome to our time of looking at our psalm for this coming week. And let me tell you, whoa, this is a good time to get wet, especially in most of the United States right now that's being covered in a big clump of heat and hot sun. Yeah, we're going to have it up here. It's already in the mid 80s where we're at, and hey, that's like 10 degrees above our average temperature already, and it's still mid morning. Craziness. But all of our readings this Sunday have that hint of refreshment in it, as well as a hint of calamity as well. Refreshment and calamity, yeah. We're talking about water and being affected by the flooding of waters and the chaotic waters and shipwrecks and all that kind of thing. Wow, there's a lot going on, so let's get right to it. Psalm 107 is our reading. Now, we're only doing a very little portion of Psalm 107. It's the last psalm in it's the first psalm in book 5. The last psalm in book 4 of the Psalms ends this way: "Save us, O Lord our God, and gather us from among the nations." And so you have that. And then Psalm 107 has in its beginning portion, "Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, those he redeemed from trouble and gathered in from the lands, from east and from the west, from the north and from the south." It's kind of cool. They just kind of melt into one another. And so the people would be marching into the temple for, it could have been a holiday of some sort, a great feast day. Might have been just an ordinary Sabbath. It could have been an ordinary weekday. Who knows? It could have been a gathering of pilgrims who've been traveling now, and this is their time to get close to God in the temple. So the priest is leading them through and going through the different portions of the temple, and they're singing all these psalms together. It's a really cool thing. Now, what Psalm 107 does, especially in the first 2/3 of the psalm, it's giving praise to God. Well, the whole thing gives praise to God, but especially for redeeming his people from whatever trouble they're in, whatever tough time they're going through, whatever calamity they're enduring. So we have all the 4 directions that the people are coming from east, west, north, south. Maybe south. Maybe it's something else. And we'll see that in just a second, because that's going to be the focus of our reading this coming Sunday. So some are wandering in the desert waste, finding no way to an inhabited town. They're going to die out there in the desert. And where is it? That's the east. God rescues those people, all right? And some are sitting in darkness and gloom, prisoners in misery and in irons. Those are the people who are stuck out in the west, darkness, prison, and God rescues them. Then you have some were sick through their sinful ways, and because of their iniquities endured affliction. Well, another word for sick is foolish in the Hebrew. So, yeah, and they're interconnected in Hebrew thought. You're sick probably because you weren't paying attention to what God told you to do. You're being foolish. So those are the people from the north, and punishment from God is often depicted in the Old Testament as coming from the north. Well, and that makes a lot of sense, because the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonians, they all kind of circled around and came down from the north. So it makes pretty good sense. Now, we are going to be looking at the 4th part, and that is from the south. Now, I said maybe from the south. Well, verse 3 says it's from the sea, literally. So it goes from the east, the west, the north, and the sea. See, and the word sea and south in Hebrew are almost identical. So I think it was done purposely by the psalmist, because now he's going to talk about those chaotic waters. In creation, God put an end to the chaotic waters and set up boundaries for them. And we're going to see that not in our in the book of Genesis this week. It's there. We're going to see it in the book of Job. God answering Job about all the affliction that he's going through and saying, hey, where were you when I did all this stuff? And amongst them, I set boundaries for the oceans. And then we're also going to talk about the chaotic waters that we pass through in our gospel lesson for today. Jesus is going to be stilling the storm. Yeah, one of those stories of Jesus in the scriptures that we have. So it's really, really cool. And what we see going on, so we're going to be looking especially at verses 23 through 32. And it talks about sailors who are in trouble. And that happened in the Middle East. There was, when you're leaving port, especially along the Mediterranean, and heading north, south, or west to take your items for trade, you didn't have the satellite radars we have today. You didn't know what was coming your way. It was kind of hard to predict. And sometimes you got yourself in a lot of trouble. But here it talks about the Lord rescuing those from the troubled waters when they cried out to him. So it's a beautiful, beautiful hymn. And then there's that last little part. Let them extol him in the congregation of the people and praise him in the assembly of the elders. When God helps you out, thank him. Thank him. It's not such a bad idea, right? Really, really neat psalm. I love it. What's interesting about it, too, is all these four directions that the people are coming from, north, south, east, west. The way that the psalm is written is precisely the same, meaning everything is in a set order. There's a description of the affliction that they're undergoing. There's the plea for help. There's a description of how God made things right, and then there's the songs of praise afterward. And so Psalm 107, a really, really good psalm to read, especially on these hot days of summer when we get to the last one, being saved from the waters of the sea. I can use a few of those waters tossed on me right about now. How about you? God's blessings be with you.